Let's get some practice now at using the cosine rule to find an angle. Now, when you look at a question, it won't tell you what rule to use, so how can you tell whether to use the sine or the cosine rule? Well, this example question here, we're given all three sides. Now, the sine rule is used when you've got four things, one of them you don't know, three of them you do, and they need to be opposite sides and angles. So two pairs, in other words, where you know three things and you can always find the fourth thing. With the cosine rule, you need to be involving three sides and one angle, any angle, okay? Now, of those four things, the three sides and one angle, you need to know three of them so you can find the fourth one, okay? So in this case, we know the three sides, so we're looking for the angle. So we need this version of the rule, cos A equals B squared plus C squared minus A squared all over 2BC. Now, the important things about this rule, it doesn't matter what B and C, what sides the B and C are, but little a is the one that's being taken away, the square of it. It has to be opposite big A. So first thing you should do in a question is draw it up. It doesn't have to be to scale. Let's go ahead and label our sides, 6, 7 and 8. Now, we want to find the largest angle. So the next problem is, which angle is that? Now, some people will look at a question like this and go, oh, I don't know which angle it is. I know, I'll just find all three. And then I can just pick the biggest one. That's actually not a bad workaround. If you're not sure what you're doing, do all of it. The downside, of course, is it's going to take you maybe 3 times as long as somebody else who can just pick the angle they're going for and they've nailed the question first time. So how do we tell? Well, the biggest side is always opposite the biggest angle, okay? Now, that makes heaps of sense. If you imagine two sides, any two sides, like jaws, okay, and they're going to open not very wide or very wide. The wider the side is, the bigger the side is that they're opposite, that angle is opposite, the wider those jaws have to open, don't they? So if you imagine these jaws here, the 7 and the 8, they don't have to open very wide at all because they're only opening wide enough to make room for this side of 6. Whereas these jaws here, they have to open up wider so that the ends of their lines can make room for a side of 8. Does that make sense? So if you know the biggest side is here, then this is the biggest angle. This is the one we're after. Next thing to do so you don't mess up, label your diagram with the A's, B's and C's. So this is big A. That means this is little a. Now it doesn't matter which of these is B and C. Absolutely fine either way, but as long as you've got those two right, you're ready to go. So we know that cos of A is 6 squared plus 7 squared minus 8 squared all over 2 times 6 times 7. Now you can take your calculator out and see what that comes to, plug it all in and you'll get a quarter. Or if you're good with doing this in your head, you'll go 36 plus 49 minus 64. I've got 21 on the top and on the bottom I've got 42 times 2, so I've got 84. See, 4 lots of 21 is 84, so I can see I've got a quarter. Okay, now you might think, no, I won't do that, I'll reach for my calculator, but sometimes actually doing it, the arithmetic by hand can be just as quick or easy, depends on how quick you are with your calculator. Now, don't forget all this time we've been finding cos of A, so don't get to here and think that we're finished. If we want to find what A is, we need to find the inverse cos now of a quarter. So at that point, we need to reach for our calculator, if we haven't already, and put in shift cos and put in a quarter, and we get 75.5 degrees. Let's do it to the nearest minute, and we find that A is 75 degrees, 31 minutes and 20 and a bit seconds. 20 and a bit seconds rounds down, so that leaves us with 31 minutes. Now I've rounded it off to the nearest minute. So write what you've rounded it off to, and we're done.